a great weekend. Hopefully my sound works tonight. Between 8 and 9 my husband has been doing a little live radio show in the evenings for this lockdown period, so he might be using up all the bandwidth. Anyway, we're going to talk about the ankles today, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of an agenda for this week. So I go live every Monday to Friday. Tends to be at the moment, it's just before 9 o'clock. We're going to go through ankles today. I'll go through wrist and hands because I was meant to go through that, especially in related to those with rheumatoid arthritis. And I'll go through elbows. I'm going to talk about frozen shoulder specifically, and then jaw was the other one that we'll cover on Friday, and anything else that comes up. So I do plan on just continue going live every Monday to Friday for the period of lockdown, and I would really love to continue this. So just keep coming, keep the ideas coming for me. Anyway, let's get into ankles. And hi Anna, this is something that you asked about. So the ankles are your last joint before your feet literally connect with the ground. And so I talk a lot about feeling grounded, feeling comfortable, feeling really good about where you are in your environment, but just in general areas of life as well. How grounded are you feeling? And it's literally about the footsteps that you follow in life. So the physical issues that you can get with ankles that I typically see are things like rolling your ankles. So rolling, just going over on them really unexpectedly. You feel like a little bit of a dick when you roll your ankles in the middle of nothing. And sprain ankles where you can tear ligaments, some of them more severe than others. Stiff ankle joints, which usually, if it's both sides, will lead me to think more of those inflammatory joint conditions. And you can of course get broken ankles, which affects the bony structure. In the past I've talked about base chakra, which is also where the ankles lie in that lower limb. And when bony structures are getting affected, I think about upbringing, support and upbringing. Then the other thing is Achilles tendonitis is very common as well. So we'll go into a few of those things. The ankles being a joint also relates to solar plexus, which I've talked about, which is a lot around identity, sense of direction, role in relationships. So you'll see a few similarities with the knee and ankles. So rehab with ankle sprains on a physical level is really important. So a lot of people will roll their ankle once, and if they don't do their rehab properly, they will continue to roll and roll. So remember, addressing the physical aspects of the body is really important to also influence the emotional part. And you'll commonly hear, especially lower limb injuries are related, when you rehab them, you're aiming to improve your proprioception. So proprioception, the more simplified word for that is your balance or your sense of awareness in space. And for me, that talks a lot about grounding, like the sense of awareness of your surroundings. So yeah, that's what I've written there. Sense of grounding, your environment, your career and your relationships. So right ankle, again, similar to the knee, but do you feel like you're heading in the right direction with your career, with your job, and pursuing some of those dreams that you might have? Or do you feel unstable and therefore rolling your ankles all the time? So again, when you roll your ankle or you sprain your ankle, think about what's going on for you. Again, if some of you have been following my story, which I have got that up on my most recent podcast, it's more details about my pain story. I remember that when I was in Brisbane, I used to always roll my ankles as a teen, and then it was stable for quite a while, but I'd never sprained them. And on 2 occasions in Brisbane, I sprained and tore some ligaments in my ankles. However, I did my rehab. I addressed what was going on for me. Brisbane was a big trigger for me about it brought to attention the fact that I wasn't following my direction, and I haven't had any issues with my ankle since. So left ankle has, again, a lot to do with how grounded do you feel in a relationship. And as we know, relationships can often change over the course of time. We can outgrow one another or pursue different interests. And yes, I do tend to see a lot of ankle issues when people are on shaky ground with their with their relationships, staying in their relationships a little bit longer than what they should, or not feeling secure in their relationship and trusting. So again, I talk about the knee and relationships. We talked about the knee last week if you want to go back and listen in. What's the other thing that can come up? So Achilles, I'll go over that. So well, the Achilles is also, because it's a tendon, in Chinese medicine I relate it to liver issues, and Achilles tendinopathies can be very much related to inflammation. When I think of inflammation, the emotions that I think of is redness, anger, irritation, and particularly unexpressed anger. And you've got to remember, anger is actually a really healthy emotion to have when it's not harmful, and it's a thing that can really help you drive forwards your ideas and express yourself. So I've written down here on the notes, this around the ankles is a belief that you have to be a slave to others. This is left ankle, and not nurturing enough of what your own needs are. So this can be when, especially with families, and looking after kids, whatever age, and especially for mums, sacrificing their own wants and desires for the needs of the family. And I've had quite a few cases of mums that have come to see me who are doing a lot of stuff for their kids, which is great, but they do know what they want to pursue and how they want to spend their time. However, they're sacrificing that in this moment. And sometimes it's just coming to peace with the fact that you have chosen to be there for your family for that period of time, and not to forget that you are important as well, and to pursue whatever it is you are wanting to learn about or educate yourself about. So that's on the ankles. Hopefully the sound came through with all of that. And just remember, I would love you to ask me questions. I've had a couple of people message me, and I just write you back a bit of I've recorded a voice message back because I find it much easier to process it in the moment. So if you do want to message me, then that's great. I can share the stuff to the group without having to mention your name. But having the real life situations is really great, and also being able to tie in the other issues that you're having, because remember, I am isolating individual body parts and individual conditions, but it is incredible how that the ankles can relate to stomach issues, jaw issues, because it's all solar plexus. There's a little bit of shoulders with ankles as well. All right, cool. Have a great night, and that's it for me. See ya.